Are you looking to enhance your model painting techniques? Then this one tip can almost instantly improve your dry brushing. Hi everybody, welcome back to Darlingbrough Model Railway. If you, like me, are into any kind of model making, then the chances are that you will be using a dry brush technique at some point in that workflow. I want to share a creative tool that I have recently discovered that has pretty much instantly improved my dry brushing, and I feel that it could do the same for you. But before I show you the solution, let me show you the problem that it solves. When dry brushing, you want to use only the smallest amount of paint and apply it with the lightest of touches to bring out the highlights on whatever it is that you're painting. However, it can be very difficult to judge exactly how much paint you have left on your brush before applying it to your model. If there isn't enough paint, that's fine. All you need to do is just reapply more and more coats until you get the effect that you're after. However, if you don't clear enough paint off your brush, you can completely f*** up your model, big time. Now, one of my previous solutions was to create a small test terrain piece that I would use to practice before applying all my paint techniques to the actual model I was making. The only problem with that solution is, well, look at this. Although creating terrain pieces can be a lot of fun, it's not the ideal solution when you come to have to store them everywhere. So I decided that I needed a better solution. That's when I discovered the dry brush texture palette. Now don't worry if you haven't heard of a dry brush texture palette yet. I'll be honest, until quite recently I hadn't heard of one either. I decided that rather than having multiple test terrain pieces, each with their own unique characteristics, I should create a piece of terrain that I can reuse that incorporates a wide variety of different textures and different finishes, similar to what I would create on normal models. I wanted this solution to be portable and completely self-contained. It was to be reusable and also incorporate as many different textures and finishes as possible. Before firing into the construction, I decided to make a note of all of the type of terrain that I build on a regular basis. In order to make an effective dry brush texture palette, I decided to try and incorporate as many of these elements as possible. It was then time to start sourcing materials to use. I literally grabbed just about every kind of model making material that I have to hand, including stones, sand, broken sticks, grout, lollipop sticks, even twigs. I had some grating material left over from my airlock door diorama, foam pieces which I normally use for making panels and brick walls, as well as quite a few chunks of polystyrene which I decided to use for the substructure. Now, I have also put together a series on comparing different model making techniques when building dioramas. Link will be in the description down below. Check it out as well. It was then time to start the construction. Without giving it a huge amount of thought, I started to use my hot glue gun, polystyrene, and all of the model making materials. Montage! Once all the terrain had been attached, all that remained was to give it a quick paint using some black matte spray paint and then leave it to dry. So when it comes to using a dry brush palette, it's actually very simple. You just use that instead of paper towels or tissue. When you apply some paint, simply use the dry brush texture palette to wipe off the excess paint from your brush before using that to dry brush your model. Not only will you be able to wipe the excess paint off, but you get a live preview of how much paint remains on your brush and what the final outcome is going to look like. One of the benefits I noticed almost immediately was that it was very easy for me to be able to judge how much paint remained on my brush before applying it to the model I was making, and it would give me an almost perfect finish on the final model. As a bonus, I also turned the lid into a second dry brush texture palette as well, this time focusing on any kind of artificial finishes such as metal gratings, pipes, corrugated metal, and an area set aside for practicing rust techniques as well. Now I can keep both of the texture palettes together in one place, and whatever I'm painting, I can turn to that to help me. So I hope that I have inspired you to possibly create your own dry brush texture palette as well. If I have, let me know in the comments down below. It would be really interesting to hear your feedback. And if you're interested in knowing some different painting techniques, check out this video here.